Alright guys, Monday afternoon, welcome back to the garage, and just checking out the freshly painted frame. All looks good, it's drying up nicely. Gave the garage floor a quick washout with soap and water just to get rid of some of that overspray before we put the frame back down on jack stands. Before that I figured we'd get the tap and die set out and we'd clean up some threads. So we're just doing the differential mounts at the moment. These were taped off, fortunately, so there's not a lot of paint on them, but when we flip the frame over we're obviously going to clean everything else out. So we'll probably flip this frame later on this evening once I get the assistance from Les. We'll drop it down on jack stands and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, that's it for now. Talk to you in a bit. Alright guys, just coming up to 7 p.m. and what I've done now is I've gone through all of my bins again and I've found all of the chassis components that I'm going to need to use either on the rebuild of this car or for reference. So there's some old brake parts there for the front and the rear, for example, and the brake cables, emergency brake cables. I do have new cables, but the new cables don't come with the ends, for example, so I'm going to have to take the ends off of this cable and reutilize them, so that's why they're out there. Things like new shocks I've got, so I've got the old ones out here for reference. But anyway, what I wanted to show you is I've got the, I can't remember where I left off, but the frame is now right side up and on jack stands and ready to go. And all of those power hours that you saw me do over the last few years are now coming into play. As you can see, some new shiny painted bits ready to go back on the car. So it was quite pleasant unpacking bins of freshly cleaned and painted parts and just sort of setting them beside the car. So we've got the differential here ready to go. Got a few of the brake parts here that are painted and cleaned up. Front suspension bits here, left and right hand side, all painted and ready to go, laid out. We've got a lot of new parts in the house that we still need to bring out. For example, I've got new coil springs for both the front and the rear, new competition springs. Things like adjustable rear trailing arm camber brackets, I've got those upstairs, so we'll bring those out. Brake back plates I have that are freshly painted, need to go for the rear here. I've got brand new brake calipers for the front with stainless steel pistons, and the list goes on. So what I'll do now is I'm going to start bringing parts to the garage from inside the house, and we'll get those ready to go back on the car. So like I said, this should, cross my fingers, go back together fairly quickly since I've done a lot of pre-work and pre-organization. So I am really hoping to get this into a rolling sort of format by the weekend. And looking at these parts here, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I do have a magic kit from the Roadster factory to do the assembly on this front suspension with all new urethane bushings, so that should make things a little bit easier. We'll show you that once we dig it out from upstairs in the house. Anyway, that's the update for now, guys. We'll play a little bit more out here and then we'll have to go in for dinner. Looks like we're in for a storm shortly. Starting to get a little gray over there. It would be nice if it rained so we can get rid of some of this humidity. 90 degrees out in the garage, so that seems to be the norm lately. Anyway, we'll keep on trucking. Just thought I'd give you an update. Alright guys, just coming up to 8:30 and last update for the night. So I've brought a few more parts out of the house and just surrounded the car with them. There is a lot more up there that I need to bring out, but it's getting a little crowded out here, so I thought I would stop for now and just utilize what we have. So you'll see the bags surrounding the car. These are the old components that I took off, so mostly fasteners, for example, that I've taken off the car. In a lot of cases we have new fasteners, but it's always good to have the old fasteners for comparison purposes, so that's why they're here. You know, you've got old and new, so obviously the freshly repainted brake backing plate versus the old ones that came off the car. I happen to have an extra set, so I kept one as reference, and we've got another set ready to go there with new wheel cylinders and that red box. Controversial topic that we'll discuss later. This car will have tube shocks on it, and I'm going with the tube shock conversion that I had originally on my TR6 and pulled off. But again, we'll talk more about that later. The car does actually have the mods to strengthen the frame for me to be able to utilize that tube shock conversion kit. But again, we'll have a conversation later. Trailing arms are out and ready to go, looking good. Old and new brake calipers as mentioned, so again, just for reference, plus we have the front suspension fitting kit there, and again I mentioned that we have a magic kit to replace all that, but again it's good to reference that. Caliper bolts, blah blah blah. The old springs are there. We have new Good Parts lowered springs, competition springs, but I thought I'd bring the old ones out. We also have new shocks available, but they're the old ones that came on the car. We have new Spax adjustable shocks for the front. So I haven't brought the sway bar out yet. I haven't brought the radiator protection shield out yet. I'll do that at some later date. I do have the front sway bar parts here. I've got the emergency brake cables. As I'd mentioned, I need a few of the bits off the end of it, so we'll have to take those up and clean them out, or take them off and clean them up, and then I put them on the new cables, which I still have inside. So anyway, awfully hot out here tonight. Still 90 degrees in the garage and very, very humid. I'm sweating to death. So that's it for tonight out here. We'll hopefully get a little break on the weather tomorrow, and this humidity will sort of go away after the storm, and should be a little more comfortable for the next few days to work out here. So we'll hopefully make good progress over the next few days. Anyway, we'll upload this tonight just to see where I'm at, and we'll get out here tomorrow after work, and we'll start putting stuff back on the frame. All right, guys, see you then. Have a good night.